everybody, it's Lisa with Junk Journal Gems. Thanks for joining me again. We're still working on the Grungy journal. I went ahead and I attached the watch bands to this, and all that I used to do this, there's no rocket science to it, is I used this product called Loctite Extreme Glue. It's strong. One thing that you do have to do is to hold it in place for about 5 minutes until it's adhered well. Other than that, there's no big, secret that I could pass along and share with you. With this, though, it really gives a much tighter, or not tighter, I would say more reliable adhesion to whatever it is that you're working on. The stuff darn near sticks to about everything. But what I wanted us to do today then was to finish up the cover then, because this is bugging me and I need to get it covered up. I can't stand it anymore. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll show you also what I did to attach it to the inside of the back cover. I have these, let's make sure I'm in frame here. I have these file folders, which are a Tim Holtz die cut. And the bottom one I just made into a little notepad. And these, along with behind every one, are simply pockets. So what I did before gluing this one down is I tucked this in there and glued that in there with the Loctite, so that you can't really see the end of it. So let's go ahead then and finish the front of this cover. I'll show you what I've got going on. Here's what the idea I'm thinking will look like, unless if I change my mind along the way. This is what I'm thinking she'll look like when we're done. Now, how do I go about this? Well, let me pull up my chair and tell you. Let's disassemble this. What I started out with, get that out of the way, is a piece of cardboard. And all that I did to this cardboard is I ripped up the edges after pulling up one of the layers of this. And how do I do that? Believe it or not, let's see if you can see that well. Cardboard, I find if you can see one side that is a little thinner than the other, like this one, the bottom part appears to be a little more glued on than what I'm showing as the top right now. So what I'll typically try to do is to pull up that top one. Now, that theory is not 100% I've learned, but it's about 50-50. So you can toss a die. And all that I do is I come in here and I start ripping. Make sure you got your trash can handy. And then all I do is I take my Tim Holtz Pokey tool. You wouldn't have to use this. If you had the end of a pencil, you could use that. All you want to do is start working up these ends to be able to peel them apart. I just happen to like the Pokey tool. And then with the sharp pencil, like I can see I left a pencil mark here. Sometimes that's not a big deal. Sometimes you might like it, sometimes you might not. But if you have something like this, you can just slide it along there. And what I find helpful is once you've got that pulled up a little bit, grab hold of it and just start peeling it off. Sometimes you might want to leave your edges a little grungy like that. Just depends on the look that you're going for. And as you can see with this one, kind of know what you want to use your piece for, because you can see I left some of the paper on here in the middle because I'm going to be gluing this photograph on here. So I've got a better surface for contact with the glue to hold my image down there. But with this one, I think what I'm going to do is just peel up some of the edges. I don't have a photo chosen for this one yet. I'm really liking this technique lately. Whoops. And I just keep working it. It just takes a little patience. So turn on your favorite TV show. This is kind of a good activity to do in front of the TV. I have one of those, what'd you call it, like a lap desk type of thing, and it's plastic and it's got pockets on either side, so I use the pockets on the side to put trash in on one of them. Okay. But you just keep picking away at it. It does take some patience, which is not usually something that I can brag about. I kind of have to get myself in the right mindset to do this, because I also get a little OCD about that. Sometimes if I'm not finding I can get strips of it up very well, I'll go to the other side and see if I was wrong and the other side comes up better. And be careful if you do use something that is pokey, like the Tim Holtz pokey tool. It's pokey, so be careful that you don't hurt yourself. If you're doing this with children, I'm trying to think what you could safely use with kids, and nothing is coming to mind immediately. Maybe like a skewer might work, but again, you wouldn't want it too pokey, and certainly don't want them running around with it. Okay, so here and end again, so let's see. That came up kind of nice. But you get the hang of that part. Let me get rid of this mess here. All right, so then what I do is I usually take a picture and then I go around and let me get a picture so you can see what I mean. So let's say I'm going to use this little pumpkin. What on earth has she got? Oh, it's a dog. I thought, you see this? I cannot figure out what the legs were of what she was holding. Oh my goodness. So what I do then is I kind of eyeball. I like some round corners. I don't like it all straight, so I come in here and I just kind of crunch up the edges. Come around that corner. And I'm gonna come along this a little bit. You just don't want it to look too brand new, but now you see why leaving that in the middle is kind of helpful. We're gonna okay. So then you get your piece like that. This is a problem for me. It's a problem. This is a bit of a problem. Too straight. There, I like that. Now, what I did with this one, you don't have to do this, is I actually tried using crackle paste. It didn't really crackle. I don't know what I did or why it didn't crackle. It only crackled when I curved the cardboard. But you could use gesso, you could use texture paste, you can use crackle if you want to have this kind of effect. When I was done with that, I just took a putty knife and plopped it around on there as I liked it. And then what I did, because I didn't want it all totally white, is I took my my Distress Oxide Antique Linen on a sponge, and I just kind of rubbed it around and dabbed it around on there. What I like about that color is it ties, antique linen has more of a yellowed color to it than, say, a vintage photo. But you certainly could use vintage photo too. I liked the antique linen with this because it has the old tape on here that I am going to be leaving on it. And there's like some yellow hues to this photograph that I am just going to leave as is. So you can do the same on here or play around with it and see what your preferences are as well. But on the book cover that we are using, I decided I liked the look also of kind of softening the background of that cardboard. Otherwise, the cardboard looks so harsh on there. Once you put something like this down, there's something about that top that I don't like. That's too straight also. I know, aren't I picky? Look at me being all picky. But see, it just kind of softens the edges of that. So that will go on there like this. So let's just get to gluing. So what I'm going to use is Fabri-Tac. And just kind of gush it around on there. Once it gets down to the tip, once it decides it's going to comply with my ideas. Come on. Oh, for heaven's sake. What is it with me and glue, you guys? Let's try this now. There we go. Still not coming out very strongly. Okay, that's enough to get us started. Okay. And this is coffee dyed. There, that's good placement. And I think I'm just gonna take it and glue it down a little bit more. I just first wanted to be sure that I had it placed how I liked it. And I'm going to leave some of these edges not glued down because I just want that, I guess, loose feeling to it. And then on the back of this, we're gonna glue this down. And I want to make sure that this is on really good because this is the front of the journal. It's going to get bumped around a little bit. I want to make sure that this edge is covering up the end of that watch band. I'm liking this so much already. Nice and grungy, but really grungy in a pretty way. And then we'll glue Mary, Tony, and Renee down too. We'll glue them. Wonder if they've ever been glued before. They apparently were in a scrapbook. They were glued. Oh my gosh. Can you tell when I'm crafting at night? Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna have to either hold this down or I should have had a book or something to hold this in place a little bit. So shall we sing a little song while we're waiting? I'm gonna put the baby wipes on there for a second. Okay. So then this, and if you guys ever want to make some of these together, we can definitely do that. In fact, I only have a couple left. I should make some anyway. All this is crumpled up and put together layers of, this is wax paper, wax sandwich bag paper. This is like grocery bag paper, tulle. This is some of that packaging paper that we use to make a page inside the book. But it's just layers and layers. You can use parchment paper. I've got sewing tissue paper in here. Here's a parchment paper from coffee dyeing. And you just layer them up with tulle. What I have underneath the button here is a little brad through there. You can just glue the layers together. And then put a button on top and voila, you've got yourself a little fun little flower. Okay, let's see if this is ready yet. Oh yeah. Okay, so next, let's glue these guys down and just make sure again. I want to see the 1941. Of course, I want to see their names. And then I want that like that, I think. How's that look, you guys? I like it. So let's do it. It's kind of windy outside. I can hear the wind. And you might be saying, oh my gosh, she's covering up most of that texture paste that she spent the time to ink and everything. That's okay. You can see the layers, and it's the layers peeking out from other things that are what makes doing something like this interesting. And yes, I've glued on a lot of that too. But this is the way I like it. So if we wanted to come back in and put more texture paste on, we certainly could. Again, I'm being pretty generous with the glue. Because I want this to adhere well. I like this blue yo-yo because it ties the blue in from the spine. Now, what's interesting about these little paper stacked flowers is I would use this also in like a shabby chic journal. They're really, really flexible. So they're kind of grungy because it's just scraps and old buttons. But yet they work really well in shabby chic too. There we go. All right. And that, my friends, finishes our cover. We've got the outside, we've got the inside, and of course we're just going to leave the back. So next, all we need to focus on is finishing up our pages and the embellishments we're going to put inside. Then we sew in signatures and we're done. I thank you again for joining me. I hope you're finding this to be a fun project, and I hope you're crafting along. Hit thumbs up, click subscribe so you're notified of future videos, and have a terrific day.